Howdy, Bards. Mr. Holster here. Just having a little coffee in the tack room. Cold front moved in last night. About 3 in the morning, woke me up. Thunder shower. First thunderstorm of the year. And got about 3 inches of rain. So my shooting range project, I think, is going to be maybe this weekend I can get to it. I don't know, but there's a big gun show going on just about 25 miles east of me here. How can I pass that up? I got to go to that, but I don't know. I did get my Bobcat, all my maintenance done up to snuff, so I'm ready to go as soon as it dries out enough. But I really don't want to get in there and get my Bobcat stuck. But I think I've got it so the water drains pretty well, so I wouldn't be surprised if I can't get to it this weekend and get something done. This is what I'm going to talk to you about today, though. I'm going to talk about cowboy hats because I had some people ask me some questions. And actually, I know quite a bit about cowboy hats because I used to collect them. And I got this thing for shaping cowboy hats. If I say so myself, I'm pretty good with a steamer and a cowboy hat. But I thought I'd talk about them briefly and a little bit in the history of cowboy hats. Traditionally, they've been made out of beaver, and the better quality, the higher the X. And they originally basically had a system of 1 through 10, 1X, 2X, 3X, 4X, 5X, 6X, 7X, 8X, 9X, 10X. 10X, of course, being 100% beaver, and as you go down the line, they mix it with some other fur, mostly rabbit. And actually, if you want a durable hat for a work hat, the mixture of half beaver fur and half rabbit fur is going to give you a sturdier hat than having 100% beaver. They like using beaver fur because the beaver fur is most resistant to the weather, to the elements, to rain. But all the fur has little hooks on it. Yeah, the little pieces of hair have a hook on it, and they put all these hairs together and they compress them to make the felt, and you have a different kind of burr on the hair in a beaver than you do in a rabbit. So when you mix them and compress them, you see, you've got a better felt because it holds together better because you got different kind of burrs, and the different fur together holds together better. So don't think that just because it's not 100% beaver that, well, first off, yeah, well, we'll get to that. At any rate, so as you went up the line, you got more beaver felt, basically. And the best was the top of the line, the 10X. Somewhere along the line, somebody decided that they'd call theirs a 20X and say theirs is twice as good, and then the whole system crumbled. And of course, for quite a while, you could go buy a 20 beaver, 50 beaver, 100 beaver, or a Presidente. Yeah, from Stetson. And I got a couple examples I'm going to show you here in a few seconds. But so nowadays, if you were to go buy a cowboy hat, you walk into a tack shop, look at a cowboy hat, you could look at one manufacturer's hat. It could say it's a 50X, and another one, and it would say it's a 10X, and the 10X could very easily be much better quality than the 50X. So you can't just judge it by the X. You can only judge it by the X on the same company. If you went and looked at a Resistol, you could judge it, because if they got a 50X, it's going to be better than their 10X. You see what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean when you jump to another company that theirs is going to be anywhere near comparable. And personally, I like the Resistols right now the best. The Stetsons used to be, I think, the preferred hat. But I think for quite a while, the Resistol, and actually I think Resistol now owns Stetson. And at any rate, there used to be a lot of hats out there. Stevens hats, a lot of different hat manufacturers have made some really nice cowboy hats. Nowadays, I think Resistol is the best unless you go to a small hatter. I guess you'd call it a hatter. You go to some guy that makes cowboy hats. There's a lot of little guys making cowboy hats make very nice cowboy hats. In fact, there's somebody out in Utah, I think, or can't think of where the guy is, that makes probably the best hat in the country, and his name escapes me at the moment, but he is very careful where he gets his beaver from, and he only gets the best beaver from the belly, which brings us to color. And you notice all my hats, well, you probably haven't seen all my hats. I have no colored hats, really. They're all a different variation of silver belly. And a real, pure, 100% beaver silver belly hat will be silver belly. To get a different color, you got to dye it. And of course, the belly of the beaver is silver, and it gets darker as you go up. So if you got a hat that's a natural beaver, 100% natural beaver, and it ends up being a color more like this, well, it's not all silver belly, is it? No. You're not getting just the best hairs. So, yeah, it's all confusing, and you really have to spend a lot of time studying this, because every company's got a different history and does different things. Of course, you have the 100 or the Presidente. Stetson and Resistol has the same thing, and most of those over the years have been mixed with cashmere. They try to get a lighter and a softer touch to it, and a light as hat as possible. You get the most expensive hat you can buy. It's not necessarily back again to the mixing beaver fur with rabbit fur. It's not necessarily going to be holding up that well. A real cowboy hat that a cowboy would have, it's going to get used like I use mine all the time, to smack a cow in the butt to get him moving, or to chastise a horse. It's been used for that many a time. I've been known to take mine off and throw it at a steer. Pavarotti being a good example. Any rate, we won't go. We're going off another pathway here. So, yeah, if you're really going to use your hat every day in that kind of manner, you really need to not get a 100, but you need to get. And the Resistol 20s seem to be quite popular with the average cowboy. That seems to be the level that they are, and those are expensive hats, by the way. If you'll check them out, those are expensive hats. But that seems to be what the average rodeo guy is buying as a Resistol 20. Everybody likes the Resistols, and they should. They're good. They're great hats. They are. This is a Resistol, but this is an inexpensive 4X Beaver. And I've had this one. I've been wearing this one. Actually, I had it quite a while, but I've been wearing this one. What I do is I usually buy them half a dozen at a time. I like the Model 65 because it's got a higher crown. Somewhere in the last 20 years, they went to really low crowns, and I just do not like low crowns, but they still make that Model 65, the higher crown, and that's the one I like to get. So I buy them 6 at a time, and I wear them till they look so bad, then I clean them up and I hang them in the back there. I got a whole bunch hanging back there that I've retired. It's usually because the sweatband starts looking sorry, and since it's only a 4X, I move on. If it were a really nice hat, you just have a new sweatband put in. But so this one I've been wearing. I shaped it the way I wanted it, and I've been wearing it since 2012, and I've washed it and reshaped it twice, and it's due for another good washing and reshaping. I'm afraid I haven't done it for 2 years at least. I think, yeah. So I kind of overgone it. So that's I like the silver bellies because they don't have dye. You see, the black ones, they got to dye them black. The brown ones, they got to dye them brown. And yeah, it does not appeal to me. Of course, a lot of the ones that I have probably have dye in them too, because they are pure silver belly, 100% beaver silver belly. So this one, however, right here, which really needs to be brushed, this is a Stetson, an old Stetson 100. Probably about 1968, I would say, is when it was made. And very nice hat. Very nice hat. And this one here, this one's a little older, I think. I'm guessing this is from the mid-60s, probably. Yeah, that's what I'd say, I guess. And this one here is a Stetson 50. Yeah. Well, you know, it might be even older than that now that I think about it. I'd say it's more from the late 50s, early 60s. A Stetson 50X Beaver was a nice find to find this hat. Nice old hat, very clean. And if you notice in the back, it's got that bow there and the string. And that's how you would adjust the hat to tighten it up. Now, this one does not do that. This is just for looks. But back prior to this, in the older days, that's what they do. And then they started making them fake, and then they just abandoned that altogether and didn't even fake it anymore. Yeah. I'm going to go back in my 60s. I say it, I don't know, early 60s. And you can see it's got more of a tan color, but I'd be surprised if there were any dye in that one. The newer ones like this, yeah, they put dye in them. Plus it's a 4X. Somewhere along the line, all the beaver were gone in this country, and they actually used nutria. And if you see some of the older ones from the early 50s, mid 50s, which again gets me to tend to believe that's from the 60s, then you saw nutria. They actually were being honest about it and put nutria in there, and then somewhere along the line, because I doubt they're made out of beaver. I think they're made out of nutria. There's probably really nice ones that are being made out of beaver, but I don't know. I think they're just claiming, or they're just treating nutria as beaver, which they really are just South American beavers. Nutria are. They're more like muskrat, I think. But, any rate, not a big expert on that part of it. I thought I'd share that little tiny bit of knowledge I have, which isn't much, but I would. One interesting thing about these hats is if you get them dirty, all you got to do is brush them. And, of course, the brushes come in two colors. Yeah. Black and white. And the white, of course, being for the silver belly hats. And the black being for all colored hats. And you just brush them. And if you can't brush them, you get a bad stain. You can literally wash these things. And I do that with, like this hat, when I clean it up. Because, as you can see, it's got a lot of dirt on it. It needs to be cleaned up awful bad. And I just use a little dishwashing soap and a hat sponge to clean it with, and rinse it. Get a little warm water and get it wet, and clean it. Keep doing it. It'll be soaking wet by the time I'm done. I try to not get it so wet that it's soaking the sweatband. At that point, you're going too far, and you're going to have trouble if you get that sweatband wet, because sometimes they tend to shrink. And back to the leather on the holsters I talked about before, if you've got a vegetable tanned leather, you don't want to get it hot water. Even warm water, you got to be careful, because the leather wants to wrinkle and shrink up when it's vegetable tanned, which these are vegetable tanned. So that's why you got to be really careful with getting them wet. Don't get them wet with hot water. So you can do that, though, and you can shape them when they're wet, or you can let them dry and use I like to use a teapot, an old Revere teapot, and I put it on the stove, and the steam comes out, and I just hold it there back and forth for like 15-20 seconds, and then you can shape the felt, get it where you want it, and let it cool. Once it cools, it stays that way. But if you do that, you got to be real careful again to not hit that sweatband, because that steam is just like dunking the sweatband in hot water again in that vegetable tan leather. Just thought I'd mention that to give you a warning. So there you go. You got 14 minutes of your life you'll never get back again listening to somebody just babble aimlessly about cowboy hats. I know, I thought it was going to be a 5-minute video. And you probably got nothing out of it because I went all over the place with it. was kind of disjointed and unorganized. Well, if you like being disjointed and unorganized, then subscribe to my channel, because I'm having a contest right now, my 5,000 sub giveaway, and all you got to do to get in my contest is, number one, be a subscriber. Yeah, if you don't subscribe, how do I get the 5,000 subs? Number two, like this video. Sucker somebody else into wasted 15 minutes of their life. Listen to this nutbag talk about cowboy hats. And number three, in the comments section down below, type something in there and then tag it with $350, because I'm giving away a $350 gift certificate to Brownells to Lucky Winner. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you like my channel, if you like cowboy hats, subscribe and play the game. Till next time, go out and stay safe. That's 15 minutes of 48 seconds of your life you'll never get back again.